So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through how we end up adding several pages to our notes, how we take our original set of notes and actually separate them into sections, and how we add a new section to our Google Notes. So here we go. This is the original document that we had broken down into a set of bulleted points throughout the piece. And what I want to do is I want to take all of these headings and make them their own actual page or section. So the way we do that is we're going to keep this section on the front page. I'm going to make this section a new page. So I'm going to hit Control and Enter. And then we'll insert a page break right here. What you can also do is you can go up to Insert. I can go to my next one. You can go to Insert, and you can click Page Break. You can go to the next one and do the same. Again, I'm doing Control Enter. And then the last one, Control Enter. Now, during class, we talked about several groups when reviewing our holidays last week. So I'm scrolling back up, and we talked about several groups. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change a couple of things around. I know from this point on, I'm actually going to talk about Native Americans as not one collective group, but as separate tribal groups. So I'm going to keep this one here. And as you can see, I still have my Grammarly turned on. So I didn't spell Iroquois correctly. I do have New York Dutch colonists, but last week we talked about a couple of other groups. Oop. Let me put that back. I accidentally clicked delete. So one of the groups we talked about was when we talked about groups of immigrants. So we talked about Irish immigrants. And the way we talked about them was we referred to some of the cultural parts of St. Patrick's Day. And we did that with a worksheet. And I went to the next one. So we also talked about Italian Americans, Italian immigrants. And we did this when we talked about Columbus Day and how Columbus Day was founded in the United States. We did this with a worksheet. We talked about Mexican Americans. And what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to use the term immigrant here, because when we talked about Cinco de Mayo, we talked about people of Mexican descent living in the United States that celebrate the holiday, not necessarily immigrants today. We talked about the genesis of it. So we talk about this. And lastly, we talked about African Americans, and former slaves in the United States. And we did this talking about emancipation. Okay. And Juneteenth. Again, was with a worksheet. So one of the things I wanted to show you today in class was how to actually take this document and link it to another document. So I've added these groups of people that we talked about in class underneath the people groups. So if I can scroll back up, people groups and cultures. And I know we talked about it in class with a worksheet. Some of these other groups, we haven't talked about them yet. Now, one of the things you can do is you can take the word worksheet, you can highlight it, you can click the link button, and what it will do is it will give you some suggestions. Now, when you look at these, what you'll see are suggestions from the internet, but you'll also see suggestions from worksheets that you've had. So as you can see, the very first one here, it says Emancipation Day, St. Patrick's. And that's the one for St. Patrick's Day and Emancipation Day that we worked on. So I'm going to click apply. And now what that does is if you look, it actually connects this document to that worksheet. We can do the same thing for the Columbus Day one. And since I've done this before, I know these are the correct documents. I can do this for the Mexican Americans and Cinco de Mayo. And I can do this again for Emancipation Day, and Juneteenth. Apply. Now, with this linked in here, I now have what's the beginning of a master document or hyper document because it connects to other documents that could change on their own. But these links still connect it to those. Next, what we have is I'm going to go to my last page, which is right here. Fix a problem I have. And I'm going to add a page. So again, I go to the last spot I have, which is right here where it says owners and stuff. And I'm going to insert a page break again. So Control, Enter. I don't need any numbering. I don't need it to be indented. And I'm going to call this section vocabulary. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this a heading, just like I did with my other ones. So this is a master heading in my document. And what I'm going to do is on my next line is I'm going to add some definitions. So in class, we talked about advocacy as a definition, as a word. And what that means is that, it's people, or I should say when, it's an action when people, when, all right, we'll put a person or a group of people try to convince others of their ideas or future actions. And then I'll put I.E, which means an example, creating a holiday, because that's the example that we have it. Now, what I'm going to do with this document is something interesting. So since I have this written right here, I want to be able to see something kind of cool. So I'm going to tap the very first word. I'm going to tap advocacy. And I'm going to ask for it to be turned into a different header. Okay? So I'm going to ask for it to be formatted with a paragraph style that is heading 5. Now, all it did was it put gray, it changed the style of it to heading 5. If I go to my document outline, it's right here now. If I go up here to citizenship and I put advocacy is a way to create holidays, I can highlight this word right here, advocacy, and I can link it in the headings to the word. I can link it to the definition that I've already created, which is right here, and apply. And now you might be thinking, well, why would I do that? Well, because if I want to, I can go to here and actually see what the definition is and then go back to where I was. Some of these other parts, which might link you out to a different page, might be something different. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope it works. Again, do your best. And if you want to, I highly recommend opening the other worksheets, adding these definitions that we used on those worksheets to your notebook sheet, and using them as examples as well. Okay? And I'll show you how to do that. Go here. I'll add all of these in. It's like if I had actually brought them over. And click all of these and make them heading 5. And now you see them listed underneath the vocabulary. One of the other things you'll see is as each heading is indented, it moves it further over into the sections. So this whole document outline can become very complicated, but also pretty handy. All right, I hope it works for you. Good luck.